Hey, everybody, we're live, and it is my pleasure and honor to present former Oakland Mayor Chief of Staff to Sheng Thao, now Oakland mayoral candidate Renia Webb, as our guest. Renea, Queen, quite welcome to and honored that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
You know, I'm just ecstatic. I'm so humbled by the support I've gotten from our community and yeah, just ready to win for Oakland and ready to serve the people in the way that they deserve.
One thing, folks, we were and that is the echo from the open video, folks. It was playing in the background that I used to tweet out. So that's all right. One thing, however, I want everybody to see, because we were talking about it off camera, and I had no idea, but my friend here was in Milk. And before you would say, yeah, Milk, I'm talking about the movie, not like, commercials or a milk carton or anything like that. But right here, voila, there she is in the red. Well, she's the only black woman that's actually visible up front, but there she is in the red waving. And Renea is part of history. How did that happen? And did you have a chance to meet Sean Penn? How did this little gem come about?
Oh, yes, sir. I was able to meet Sean Penn. Actually, was one day out in his by his trailer, and we just had a great conversation. The other young man that ended up, I believe he was nominated for Oscar as well. I believe his last name is Franco. The actor met the director of it. I used to do a lot of like print modeling and things of that nature. And one of the agencies reached out to me about being in this movie. And I didn't really know much about Harvey Milk, so I was able to learn about the just impact and just his presence in San Francisco. Now the San Francisco airport, a part of that, is named after him in his honor. But yeah, I was just very blessed to take part in this filming of this movie. And even more just sweet that I'm actually in the trailer of the movie. So it just is a sweetness to it.
Now, you told me you were almost in a position where you wound up with a speaking role, right?
Yes, sir.
But that didn't come about because, well, a lot of complications, right?
Definitely. I was raised in a very religious family. They wanted me to have a very important speaking role, which would have been filmed in the Castro, but it would have asked me to make out with a woman on camera. And just out of respect for my father is a pastor. Well, he was a pastor, God rest his soul. He's passed away now, but he was a pastor and a minister. My grandfather was, and just out of respect for them, I just didn't do it. I don't have any problem with that, but again, just to honor my father, and I just turned it down.
And now here we are. You are in a position where, arguably, in terms of name recognition, you'd have to be seen as one of the front runners running for the office. And I ask all of my guests this question: what was the aha moment when you just said, "You know what? I can be that person. I can be mayor"?
When the news broke over the summer about the FBI raids, and I did a couple of interviews, several people, people that I didn't even know were reaching out to me via social media, being my personal contacts, and were like, "Renea, you should be our next mayor." And as flattered as I was just like, no, thank you. I don't want any parts of that life. It really turned my life upside down, having to step away from our previous administration of our recalled mayor. And, I just took it as thank you. I appreciate it. No, thank you. About 2 weeks before the recall, again, I started getting a lot of text messages, calls. You should run. Again, I was like, thank you. No, thank you. Let's see who else we could support. And it wasn't until the day after the recall, one of the parents, I currently work at Crocker Highlands Elementary School. I love it. that was really my healing space to go to after I left City Hall. And some of the parents came up to me, one in particular, and he was like, Miss Webb, I did not know you were involved in Oakland politics. And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, I researched you last night. And I was like, oh, did you? What did you find out? And then he was just like, you know, if you allow us to support you, you'll be our next mayor. I would be honored. And it was just something about the way he said it. I was like, I'll think about it. The next day, one of our former teachers who I worked in her class last year, she's no longer with our school. She texted me. I hadn't talked to her in probably about 6 months, if not more. And she was like, Miss Webb, my family and I were discussing you last night. And because of your commitment to Oakland, because of your integrity, because you put Oakland first, even before yourself, she knew kind of the stuff that my family had went through by me walking away from City Hall. She was like, you really should think about it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to think about it this weekend. I'm going to sit back, meditate. My son goes to his father's house on the weekend. So it's just like, I'll have some time alone. I'll think about it. And as I was dropping my son off to his dad, and it just kind of chokes me up a little bit, I asked him, I was like, son, people want me to run. Like, what do you think about that? And my son was on the campaign trail with me for our recalled mayor. And he was like, so does that mean a whole bunch of meetings and all these events? And I was like, yes, it does. I was like, but thankfully it's only 4 months of that. And I was like, and yeah, then it'll be okay. Like, I'll make sure I have a team of people that care about Oakland, that, that have done the work in Oakland. And so it'll be work. It'll be a tough job, but as long as I surround myself with competent people and people that, again, serve the people in honesty, I could do the job. And he was like, well, Mom, if you don't take care of Oakland, who will? And just,
wow.
I mean, I get choked up every time I think about it, because my son has been around this Oakland, for a long time. I mean, he obviously was born here, but when I was on the Community Police and Advisory Board as a co-chair, he was literally in our chambers. People wouldn't even know he was there. I would have his blanket laid out, his toys. My son has been in more meetings, board meetings, than probably most 10-year-olds. It's just the fact of it. And so to hear him say that, and I could see and feel the sincerity, it just touched my heart in a way. And that weekend, like I said, I literally locked myself in the house. I had events to attend. I did not. And I just meditated. I prayed about it. And it was a Saturday night, and I literally heard Spirit and my ancestors say, it's time to step up. It's time for you to lead. It's time for you to do what you're called to do. And in that moment, that's when I said, okay. I had no plans of doing this. I didn't honestly want to do this. Walking away from that administration was very hurtful to me, because I ran that campaign and helped run that campaign thinking that the promises that we made to the people were going to be lived out. Mm-hmm. I was born and raised here in Oakland. My family, my dad was born and raised here. My mom, their parents, grandparents came here in the early 20s, late 1920s this is. And so, I just was so excited to take care of Oakland. I could have ran for District 4 council seat.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I probably had about a 99% chance of having that position, because I served as their chief of staff in a good way. Those people love me up there in District 4 because I did my job very well. And they wanted me to run. But I thought, you know what? It's better for me to be in the mayor's office. I have more way of impacting our city, the whole city, not just a specific community or a specific district. And so that's why I did not run for District 4. I would have, like I said, had a shoe into that seat. I literally did. But instead, I supported Janani. I brought Janani into Rotary. I'm her Rotary sponsor in Janani. I did help Nina, who ran for District 4. both of them were calling me, and both of them I gave the same information, the same access to, you know. Obviously, I wanted John and E to win. It's just my preference. But yeah, and so, you know,
Johnny is impressive. So I mean, you know,
I love her. I mean, I've
yeah,
seen what she's done. I've texted her like, thank you. Thank you for standing up for the people. Thank you
yeah,
for telling the people the truth. Instead of, sadly, a lot of people in her position have been robbing our city and have been allowing people to get away with a lot of stuff. And so, yeah, I was really heartbroken to have to step away from that, but it didn't stop my work. You know, I have been doing work at the state level, legislate, excuse me, hosting legislative meetings with our assembly members, our senators, our Congress members, you know, helping to bring money here to Oakland and just to California. And then even at the national level with Every Town for Gun Safety. And so it didn't stop my work. I was sad that wasn't able to do the work for Oakland that I thought we were going to do. But, you know, like our minister said at one time at church, the mission may have changed, but the purpose still remains. And my purpose is to serve. Like, I literally love everyone. I do, even those that have bad ways. You know, this is the truth. I still love my ex-boss, even though what she put me through, even though the lies she spread about me, even the mess that she caused in Oakland. I still love her.
So
I don't
I
don't like her ways, but I love her.
I have to say one thing before we go a step further. It's this. I want to say this for anyone who might be wondering. Ms. Webb is not a Zenny 62 Media client. Now, will I pitch her? Damn right I'll pitch her. But that's another down. That's later, okay? But my point is that she's news. And I'll say this straight out. I've said it to people, and I'll say it again. I'll say it right here. I saw this. This popped up in my face when I was writing about who was running, and I was blown away. And then I looked through the endorsement list. I even called some people, and I said, wait a minute. She is serious about this, and she has remade herself. That was my read. And I said, if this is really Ms. Webb, then she can win. Okay.
100%.
And I'm saying, and that's why, you know, and I want to emphasize that this is remarkable. Okay. And what it seems to do to me, right, is it speaks to who you really are rather than how you've been painted. And I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this is a primal scream in a good way, right?
Well, can I tell you about that?
Yeah, yeah.
My kickoff was phenomenal. Like I said, my community, my village came up and came out to support. But it's not because, I'm running for office. Everyone that was there was my personal contacts. I mean, I had my elementary school friends. I had two of my ex-bosses were there. I had, you know, just for a plethora of people. And somebody was like, oh my God, you have some big dogs here. I was like, you know, I have probably some of the most wealthiest people in Oakland here. And I have some of the people just like myself that are just getting by and trying to make it here in Oakland, you know, and the kids that they were there, those are my students. Some of my Rotarian friends were there. That elder lady there, that's Dr. Rosemary Darden. Standing next to her is Allison Bliss, who is my Rotarian colleagues. You know, I served in Rotary. I was over two of their most influential boards there and committees in Rotary doing the work. And so people that showed up for me are people that I've served along with doing this work in Oakland. You know, a lot of people don't know I'm one of those that kind of operate in the background. You know, I take care of business. I believe in working. I believe in getting in the trenches and doing the work. I don't like to talk about it. A lot of people want to sit up in meetings and, oh, let's talk. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. I like to do action. I want solution-based work. That's how I work. And so honestly, that picture is beautiful, but we probably had about 50 more people show up, and I had about 80 more people say, sorry, I can't come. And again, these were people I personally reached out to, that I text myself, that I called myself. This was not from just some list of people. And yeah, I'm just honored and proud of, you know, the work that I've been doing. And I'm ready to show Oakland, like, the work that when you have a leader that serves the people first, not serving their own interests, not lining their own pockets, not, I told a gentleman the other day, I said, you don't care about serving the people. You care about the power. You care about position. I've never cared about that. That's why I walked away from close to $200,000 at a time when I had 2 kids in college.
Mm.
I had to literally exhaust my savings to pay for my daughter's last year of college at UNLV Business School, because that's what I promised my baby. I could have been like, sorry, we don't have money. You got to figure something else out. But she had did the work to get herself there. And I had promised her that that's what I would do. And so, yeah, I exhausted a lot of my savings to make sure that my baby could finish college. You know, I could have easily took that job, and thank you. But, you know, who I am, what I stand for, I would never sell out my family, and I definitely wouldn't sell out Oakland for no amount of money. It's not worth it. My father used to say, the work that we do is for our children's children, meaning that you have to lay the groundwork for your future generations. And if we all did that, my God, the city that we live in, the world that we live in could be so much different. But sadly, we have a lot of people that want to misuse their power, want to misuse the knowledge that people have, and quite frankly, just steal from them and rob from them.
Now, we have a comment that was from Seneca Scotty says, Renea, run, Renea, run. The more, the merrier. And then Snowy G, I have no idea who that is. Hashtag Web for Oakland, 3 exclamation points. Don't know who, do you know who Snowy G is? I don't know who that is.
No. Can I tell you something, Zinni?
Yes.
I have been this whole last weekend, everywhere I go, from the gas station, grocery store. I just tried to go Sunday night to have some Ethiopian food. Everyone has been like, you're the girl, you're the little lady. It's cute. Everyone calls me a little lady. And I'm like, I guess I am 5'2" and 120 something pounds. So I guess I am a little lady. But they've all been like, we're so proud of you. We can't wait to you're our mayor. And this is Black, brown, Asian, white, old, young, rich, poor, you know, just every social demographic, every nationality. I mean, these one little ladies, I went to the symphony on Sunday and they were like, you're the little girl we saw on the news. Can we take a picture with you? And I was just like, embarrassed, but honored, you know, like, I may not raise the most money, but I definitely know I got the vote of the people. We're going to be in office, and yeah, we're going to serve the people in the way that they're supposed to, not taking their money, not making cushy careers and income to sell out our city, which sadly, we've had a lot of administrations that have done that. And sadly, there's people right now sitting in very high positions in our office, making 250 plus, that are selling out our city and teaching people how to rob from us. And so, yeah, I'm ready to get them out of their office, out of our department heads, bring people in that will care and serve the people like they're paid to do. You know, I mean, it just baffles me. But when you have leaders that are stealing, when you have leaders that are misappropriating money, then it just follow suit. The department heads, the other people coming right in line, because they know if our leader is this way, why do we have to work? I went to the planning department the other day. Luckily, you know, I know the head of the department, so she's helping me push some stuff along. But one of the main securities was like, Miss Webb, do you know they only come in the office 2 days a week? I'm like, oh, well, do you know they make 200,000 plus? and they don't answer emails, and they don't show up for inspections. And even though people are paying expediters, their permits are now expiring because our departments aren't doing their work. And so again, these are people that are making crazy amount of dollars, our tax dollars, and they're not even doing their job.
That's headline news, folks. That's headline news.
And I know, and I'll just be very frank and honest. I submitted public comment to our special Public Ethics Commission meeting yesterday, where our compromise city administrator, Jay Jetson, or what's his name? Jetson Johnson
from Atlanta.
Yes, from Atlanta. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter where he's from, but what matters is when he came into office here in Oakland, immediately went to work to tell people at Evolutionary Homes, a company that has since gone bankrupt, basically giving them the blueprint how to steal hundreds of millions of dollars from us.
How did he do that? How did he do that?
Oh, well, and the FBI recently just released documents that were subpoenaed as part of their investigation against our recalled mayor, her boyfriend, the owners of Evolutionary Homes, and as well as the people from CWS. And those emails, his first week in office, our recalled mayor told him to go meet with Evolutionary Homes.
Oh, by the way, CWS is California Waste Solutions, for those people who are not familiar with the story. Go ahead.
Yes, and they were part of the FBI investigation whose homes and offices got raided by the FBI. Well, a week after he got his job, again, he makes $340,000 of our tax dollars. This man told him, along with Mr. Guy, how do you pronounce his name? Larry is his first name. Last name is spelled
Larry Gallegos.
Yes. Mind you, this man, I looked online, he makes $172,000 a year running the department that ended up losing $15 million because they didn't even submit the application for the grant that we basically were a shoo-in for. This man, along with our city administrator, this is all through texts and emails, instructing them how to, like I said, get access to our Measure K dollars, which go for housing and transportation, fixing, and as well as how to get, Gael spent 6 different revenue streams for them to take money from our city. Meanwhile, they're telling our city we're broke. We don't have any money. And then he ends up following up because the guy at Evolutionary Homes responded back and said, well, what about the federal dollars that are coming down for emergency housing? Our city administrator told him, well, we would have to change some of the city ordinance. He ended up sending him a screenshot of what the city ordinance entails regarding this money and told him, well, guess what? We could figure it out. It'll be a little tricky, but we could get it done. Again, you guys, I'm not making this up. This is in an article that was written and published on November 24th of this year, just a couple of weeks ago, published by the San Francisco Chronicle. And they released the documents. This man, our city administrator, is giving people the blue book on how to steal from us. And then had the nerve to call a special meeting and saying that he needed another parcel tax to help pay for our Public Ethics Commission, our police commission oversight. It was 5 or 6 different departments that he said he needed this parcel tax to cover their expenses.
Which would be called a mellow ruse, because he needs a parcel tax. That's a mellow ruse play.
Well, what I've tried to explain to people is that's the game that I learned. I used to serve on the Measure HH advisory, which is our sugar tax. I only served half of my term because that's when I found out, and I'll just say her name, Mayor Libby Schaff. She
My god sister.
Well, she stole a lot of money from our city and redirected a lot of money from our city into the pockets.
Hey, Renea, you see what I did, right?
I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. That's why she just had to pay $22,000 in fines for being illegal and being unethical in her position, and tried to claim that she didn't know, although she's a lawyer. And that's what the body that basically dinged her for her unethical things told her. They were like, stop using ignorance as bliss as an excuse. You're an attorney. You know the law. Okay, maybe the first couple of times in office you didn't know, but your second term, you definitely knew what you were doing was illegal and unethical. Well, circling back what I was just saying, a lot of what these mayors do, like in the case of Measure HH, and that's why I resigned from that advisory, they have these parcel taxes, they collect our tax dollars, and then if the money isn't spent by, I think it's like June or May, that money goes into our general purpose fund. Once it's in that general purpose fund, our mayor is able to, I like to say our mayors have been using our general purpose fund as their slush fund, as their way to line the pockets of their friends and their supporters. And yeah, that's what they've been doing. That's why right now we're in a deficit instead of in a surplus. That's why Courtney Ruby, before she left, said that $71 million left our mayor's office unaccounted for. That's when Libby Schaaf was our mayor, her last year.
Are you saying that Sheng continued that practice?
Oh, 100%. That's what the emails and the text messages that the FBI released as part of their investigation showed. But before she was even our mayor, when she was a council person, she helped these people get crazy contracts. She helped them get that parcel over at our Oakland Army base. And then she was helping them set up to get hundreds of millions of dollars. On one end, it said $90 million to only produce 300 homes. That would mean that we were paying $300,000 per unit to basically do container homes. 300 homes at an expense of $300,000. That means everybody that's homeless in our street, we could have bought them a house.
Yep, that's right.
We at least could get them a condo.
And then some. And then
some.
Right.
But this is the game that our city has been playing. Again, I would say this, $90 million that she championed, that she sent out emails, that she said to our city administrator, go meet with them ASAP. This is his first week working for us.
That's a good pregnant pause.
It is. And I hope people catch up to this and see, like, I'm not making this up. This is documented. This was a part of our FBI investigation. This is just people using our tax dollars. Again, these are people that we're paying to serve us, that we're paying to do their job, to be in the best interests of Oaklanders. Okay. And instead, they're abusing their job and their power to steal from us, to basically give money to these organizations that was then going to sell back these things to our city. So you're already getting $90 million, but then you want to go ahead and get more money. And then you want to leverage our city dollars to then get federal dollars. But then this company went bankrupt not even a month later. They still haven't paid their employees in Mexico that they hired. And then they shot at the guy that started initiating these business deals with our city, Mario Juarez.
No Mario for a long time, since 2006.
I've heard about Mario since I was young. I never met him. Still, I've only seen him once before in my
the first interview him on YouTube. Yeah, I interviewed him back in 2007, 2008, 2011, 2012 with Amos Brown. Yeah. Hey, big question though.
Yes.
You were chief of staff, and so someone watching this who's seasoned is going to say, well, gee, I'll just say it. Well, okay, you're in a position to be a corporate heretic. With all this going on, why didn't you say something then?
I'll say it like this, and please, if you can, send this out to the masses, put this on your social media, and this is the best way I can explain it.
Okay.
It's like when you're married to someone or you're in a relationship with someone. You could be going to bed with them every night, and not knowing that they're cheating on you.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know. I told someone the other day, he was like, how didn't you know your boss was a crook? And I was like, first of all, I stay in my lane. I dealt with our community, our constituents concerned. I was hosting meetings with our public works, Department of Transportation. I'm the one that held these meetings. I'm the one that really helped District 4 when I took role in Sheng's office for a year. So on top of running her District 4 office very well, there's not too many people that could say I did not answer their calls, I did not answer their meetings, I did not do my due diligence to help them. That's the truth. I would implore anyone that said I didn't do my job for District 4 to come up and show me proof that I didn't. So not only was I doing my job as a chief of staff, I was working on Sheng's campaign as a community outreach, community director, communications director. So hosting her events, getting her in contact with faith-based people, getting her in contact with organizations that I've worked with, getting her in contact with people across Oakland. And so doing all that, I was in my lane. I did not have any idea what her and her partner were up to until the day that the FBI stopped me on December 10th, 2022. And I spoke about this at my kickoff, which amazing that 2 years to the date of my kickoff was the time that I got approached by an FBI agent in San Francisco. He told me that people in your camp are under investigation. My response was, I don't know anything about that.
And in perspective, though, this happened after Sheng won the mayoral election, but before she was sworn in, and before the day of the swearing in that you issued that email saying, I quit.
Exactly. Well, and I'll tell you, so that was December 10th when I got approached by the FBI. He told me that as long as you keep your nose clean, you're going to be okay. This man told me about all my kids, my father who was military, my grandfather was military, my great uncle. He was like, oh, you come from a very proud family. And I was like, I know I do. And I was like, all right. I left there. And quite frankly, and this is the truth, I was scared to go home that night because someone had broken into my house the night before. And that night, they had broken into my house multiple times. But that night, December 9th, I walked into my house, my back door was open, and there was a knife on my counter. And so then the next day is when the FBI stopped me. That Sunday, and I'll say his name live on air, Ken Maxey, who works for Comcast in their government relations.
Wait, isn't Ken Maxey up for an award?
Oh, he just got one.
Yeah.
He's gotten multiple awards. He's sold our city out multiple times. He is very unethical. I'll say that. I won't even call him what I want to call. Well, I'll say it. He's a crook. The day after the FBI stopped me, I was at Stephen Curry's Christmas with the Curry event at the Brickyard with my two sons, the recalled mayor's son and her nephew. Ken Maxey approached me and was like, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. I was like, Ken, I'm here with my family. Like, this is not the time. He was like, no, I need to talk to you. So I walked off with him in a little corner area. I was like, what is going on? He was like, Andre told me you're making all the hiring decisions. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm putting together a team of people. Mind you, my old boss was going to come work for us, who's been with his company 25 years. Other people were going to leave their organizations to come work up under me and our recalled mayor and her administration. And I was like, no, I'm just putting together a team of people that I know serve Oakland. But the ultimate decision is, of our recalled mayor of Sheng's. And he was like, well, I was meeting with them for all these months. I was helping them. And I was like, yeah, I remember seeing that on their calendar. You guys were meeting on a monthly basis. And I said, but I remember towards the end, it was just you and Andre. And he was like, well, yeah, he promised me a job. And so, I work at Comcast, and he had a Comcast shirt on. And he was like, I work at Comcast, but I really want to work in your administration. I looked that man straight in his face and I told him, I don't trust you. I would never hire you. And if that's what Andre said, you go deal with him. So the following day, I was at Sheng's house preparing to host her celebration of, our supporters of the campaign. We had lunch, and then I told her, I was like, dude, what's going on? Like, the FBI stopped me on Saturday. Sunday, yesterday, Ken Maxey's crooked self is telling me that Andre promised him a job. Like, what is up? She said that the FBI was investigating CWS. It had nothing to do with her. And that don't worry about Andre. You're going to be making close to $200,000. And I didn't tell this to the other media. Her exact thing was, you're going to be making close to $200,000, and we're going to be able to set up our families for life.
Wow.
I told her, I said, you know what? And I'm not going to curse on air. I told her, I said, F that. And if that's what this is about, I'm about to jump ship. I said, because I left one of my old employers when I realized that they weren't living the life and doing the work that they're putting out there to our community. I said, so if that's what's about to happen, I'm up out of here. And so that night I hosted her event. Andre did not show up. So I know that she had discussed with him what I told her. And then after that, she just started being rude to me. She got sworn in 2 days later on the 14th of December at City Hall. A lot of people didn't know because she was going to go meet our president that following Friday, the 16th, she was flying out. And so I had arranged for her to get sworn in that Wednesday. Andre came in and cursed both of us out, called us all kind of names, F you, this, that, called me all kind of horrible names.
But why did that happen? Because it sounds like you just sort of burst in all of a sudden and did what?
Well, and this is the truth. I've never even, up to that point, I hadn't even had a conversation with Andre the first year I worked for Sheng. He didn't start coming around to the end of our campaign. And I really believe he didn't start coming around because he started seeing like maybe she could win. And that day of her swearing in, he tried to bring his ex-wife into the ceremony. Natasha. Any other time Natasha would drop their daughter off to me, I was the kind of intermediary. Their daughter and my son are really good friends. They were the same age. And so anytime she would drop off their daughter to their house, I would be the one that go to the door, say hi to her, and then usher her daughter into the house. And so that's what I thought I was doing that day. So I was like, oh, good to see you. She'll be out, their daughter. I don't want to say her name. I was just like, she'll be out less than 5 minutes. Andre was like, no, she's coming in here. I looked at Sheng. Sheng shook her head. Was like, let me know, no. And I was like, sorry, Natasha, you can't come in here. This is just for family only. It was me, Sheng. Sheng's son was there. And then our city clerk and our legislative assistant, Crystal Sam, was there. And I was like, no, she can't come in. And then, he just started cursing us out, walked out the clerk's office, cursed out Sheng in front of the clerk's office. And mind you, I've requested the video from that. And they first ignored my request for a year and then told me, oh, those videos are motion censored. I was like, oh, I know. It was all kind of motion in and out of the clerk's office. So you guys definitely have on camera what happened. For about 15 minutes, he kept going in and out of our clerk's office, cursing both of us out, told us that we thought we was running stuff. Sheng needed to fire me. And she was like, she's doing her job as a chief of staff. What are you talking about? Finally, he left out. Even our city clerk, Miss Asha Reed, was like, maybe you guys want to go into a clerk's office or something. Like the whole city hall could hear us. Actually, there was a Black electeds meeting hosted at our city hall that day. So
voices travel in City Hall.
I saw some of them.
If you know where to stand, you can really raise a ruckus. If you just stand right at the middle of the stairs,
you can hear everything. Right? Well, I saw some people videoing it, so I know people have video of it. Private people, I won't say their names, but I know some of our electeds have that video. I saw them at the foot of the stairs recording it. Some of
Huh.
our very high level electeds across California were there and heard it because they were off to the conference room outside of the clerk's office having lunch. It was during lunchtime. Sheng was supposed to be sworn in at 12:30.
But you
Instead,
mean to tell me? Wait, but you mean to tell me that Andre had so zero regard for his partner's image and well-being and future that he would just simply pop off like that? I'm not saying as if I don't believe it because it happened,
oh,
but
it
I'm saying,
happened. I have the
what's going
photos.
on? What's going on in his head that he
Well,
would do
not
that?
only what's going on in his head, what's going on in Sheng's head, because she stood outside of the clerk's office and cursed him back out.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, yes, sir. They cursed each other out, so much so that Miss Asha Reed, our city clerk, was like, why don't you guys go into an office or something? Like, this is too much. And she even
Wow.
tried to reschedule it. And I was like, no, sorry, Asha, please. She has to get sworn in. She's flying out Friday morning. Like, she has to do this. And so then finally, Andre comes back in, cursed me out some more. And that's when I just lost it. I was like, I don't know what the F is wrong with you, but get the F out of here right now. You know she has to get sworn in, because he was like, well, if Natasha can't be here, then I'm gone. We're not going to be here. And that's when I was like, you know what? Fine, go. Bye. I said, because I don't know why you're doing this today. I know now why he did it, to show me that he had been controlling Sheng, to show me that he had been dealing with both these women's at least the last 10 years since Sheng was an intern. He was married and his wife was pregnant at the time, and he was cheating with Sheng with her.
Was 2010?
Yes, sir.
That was the year that I met him. That's why I met him at a kickoff. No, excuse me.
No. It was after that, because their daughter is
Okay.
only 11. She's my son's age. So they
Okay.
started messing with missing. My son was born in 2013. So they probably started messing around like 2011, 2012. But mind you, he was a married man with a pregnant wife.
My goodness.
My goodness. I had someone in our city office tell me, because she heard the cursing, she said, I've never been so disappointed and elected before they even officially took office than I was of her that day. And this is someone whose family has been in Oakland probably about 75 years.
And then you proceeded to send some text messages which implied that she had scars on her neck.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, that's what it said. So after that 14th, when she got sworn in, she and I were supposed to go to an event in Dublin. It was like the mayors of Dublin, Black Hawk, some others. I think Arenda had invited Sheng and I to go. I went to go pick her up that evening. She told me she couldn't come. I could hear Andre cursing her and her son out from the street, that house that got raided. He came out and started cursing me out in front of all their neighbors. And yeah, that night I text Sheng and I was like, I don't think I'm going to keep working for you. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I'm very old school, and how I was raised, men don't talk to women like that.
Right. They don't.
And so then
Gentlemen don't. No.
Real men don't. Cowards do.
Right.
Men don't. My father would never. The people that I grew up with, they don't. They protect women. And so I told her I was going to take some time off. I had a lot of vacation time. And I had been working literally 16, 18 hours a day, running her transition team, having meetings with our finance department, having meetings with city attorney, having all the meetings because she was out of town, visiting people. Or like I said, she got invited to the White House and she got invited to Boston, which the FBI agent asked me that night. He was like, why didn't you go to Boston with her? He was like, you were supposed to go. All the chief of staffs were there. And I was like, I know. She wanted Andre to go. So it was fine. I had stuff to take care of. So great. I collected over 20 resumes for her, and only one of those people took the job. And then she ended up quitting later because she was like, nah, it wasn't okay. Everybody else that I had lined up for jobs turned down their jobs because they were like, Renia, we wanted to be there with you. We know how you work, and that you stepped away. I didn't tell people why I stepped away. I did not, until Sheng started lying, telling people that she put me on leave, that I was having mental health issues, that I was making up lies on her. That's when I sent the email to our city council, our city attorney, a bunch of media. And I was like, I don't know what kind of games these people are playing, but I resigned on New Year's Eve. After I moved from my house in West Oakland, moved to Alameda on my son's 8th birthday. The next night, they stole my car. I had a mint condition. I sent you the picture of it.
Yep.
Mint
And
condition,
I'm
60.
gonna put those up later too. I've got those in
Yeah.
the file. Yeah.
That night, they stole my car, set it on fire, messed it up so much so it took me a year to get the parts to my car. My car was mint condition, 65,000 miles on it. It took me a year to get my parts back, and I ended up selling it because I felt so violated and hurt. But yeah, after that, she called me, had one of her employees, and I won't say her name, although I should, because she's my kid's auntie, and it just made me so sick. And I was like, I guess you're trying to protect your job, but who sells out their family? She had one of my kids' auntie calls me, who works in the Department of Violence Prevention, still currently, been around the city a long time. Called my kids and told them that your mom is making up lies against Shane. And
Wait, she called your kids?
Oh, their auntie. And I'm going to say her name because, Reverend Demita Howard.
Wow.
Who helped write Ceasefire, who used to be over our CCC, who is now still working in the Department of Violence Prevention. After I filed a police report, mind you, I filed a police report on December 24th, on New Year's Eve, about the break-ins of my home, about the crimes against my family that I thought was at the hands of Andre. When I filed that police report, I talked on the phone to our previous chief, Police Chief Armstrong, told him what was going on. He said, I believe you, Renea. I know I heard about you all getting cursed out on the 14th of December. He said everybody at 7th Street, our police station, knew about it. I was like, oh, I'm sure everybody in Oakland that is connected knew about it. And so, yeah, my police report now is missing still to this day. Luckily, I kept the slip that I was given that has the date, the time, the officer's name, as well as the report number. Even the police commission, what's his name, Mac Muir, called me and he was like, yeah, you should sue the city. No, your police report is nowhere to be found. And I said, oh, I know. I said, because Sheng told our police chief, our former police chief, to ignore it, actually made up lies that I was threatening her. I remember seeing that on the social media that I was threatening Sheng. I mean, just all this stuff.
Now you said that she told Lerone to do this?
Yeah. So LaRon and my kid's auntie, they all met together.
Okay.
I know because the auntie called me, and I know because I've heard from other people. And the auntie, Reverend Demita Howard, called my kids the day my car got stolen and told them that I was lying, that if I didn't stop the lies against Sheng, I was going to lose my job and couldn't take care of them, that I couldn't pay the rent to my new house that I had to be forced to move into, and that I would lose my job, and that if I wanted to keep my job, I had to go check myself into a mental hospital.
My goodness. So now I'm putting something together because during that time, you reached out to Seneca and myself simultaneously and sent the text messages that I published. But you didn't mention, for example, the Duongs, and now I can understand why. We talked about this off camera. The FBI contact December 10th, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And so you also seem to paint this picture that the Oakland police were observing you, and now basically I have to apologize to you because based on what you told me in total, essentially you were right.
Oh, 100%. Well, and I know that's why LaRon got suspended at first, because after he got suspended, him and his chief of staff reached out to me, Aaron Smith, Lieutenant Smith, who was the head of our Police Officers Association, or Black Officers Association, reached out to me. And after LaRon got suspended, I still have the text messages. I don't erase anything. Even Signal, I've never erased my Signal messages. And so they reached out and was like, give us more information on Andre. And I told him, no, I don't trust you. If you would have done your job, my life wouldn't have been at risk. You would have still had a job. Andre would have been arrested, and Sheng probably could have done the job that she was going to do. But instead, everybody piled up on me, tried to make it seem like I was lying, making things up. I know one of the people was Billy Dixon, who was one of their very advocates against, helping her against the recall. He grew up with my father. This man, I told him, I was like, I guess $50,000 is enough for you to sell out your family.
Oh,
because he got $50,000 from our city to pay for the city lunches and things like that.
Right,
and I was like,
right.
And then the auntie, as soon as I finished talking to my kids, because they were all crying, like, well, how can you help us with college? I told them, I said, first of all, I've been taking care of you guys. I was a mom at 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I've been taking care of you guys very well my whole life. Sheng didn't make me, I made Sheng. I helped get Sheng elected. It was my connections that pushed her to where she was. She had none of the connections across our city that I had. And I had to remind my children of that. Like, no, I'm not selling nobody out. This woman, they just stole my car last night. Sheng and them was telling them, oh, somebody just took my car for a joyride. I was like, no one cuts out your ignition, set your car on fire, and takes a sledgehammer to your dashboard as a joyride. I said that was a threat to me. And then I called their auntie and I was like, why would you do that to my kids? My kids were at my house crying. She was like, I'm so sorry. I said, no, you're not. I said, but I know that you got to do what you got to do to keep your job. I said, but now you're bought. And I was like, I hope it's enough to buy you, because they'll never. I believe that she thought she was going to take the head of the Department of Violence Prevention. I believe that. I don't know that to be fact, but I know it because I heard the conversations, and I know she got crushed when she brought in Miss Jossie. And I'm like, yeah, why would she give you a position once she bought you and you sold out your family? You're easy. You're free.
Now, also, you later, and we talked about this off camera, and I'll just bring this out now because it fits in. We're talking about a mutual friend of ours, Renia Webb.
Yes.
And who was Aide, filed a complaint, as you know, and among other things, when this interview was literally dropped into my lap out of the blue, said this. Excuse me, I have to turn the echo cancellation off, otherwise you can't hear it. Hold on a second. So bear with me for one moment. And okay, now it's off. And now, as the Squire of Gothos would say in Star Trek, let's have at it again. There.
We were made to use Google Mail versus Microsoft Mail. We did not use Teams at all. I had to have 2 calendars. It was like I was starting 2 jobs.
Was she running a secret agent office or a campaign?
Was she doing what?
Like secret agent, like she's using signals, she's trying to hide all this stuff. Was she running a secret agent office? Was she paranoid about you all getting stuff out? Was she trying to cover up something? I mean, that's kind of interesting that she would go through that.
Well, I think it was pretty clear. Like, she can't talk about campaign stuff, but she told me if I refused to work on her campaign that I would never get to know her, because I thought the beginning of me working there, I would get to know more about her and some of her impacts in Oakland so that I could then, be responding to constituents with, this is what.
And the she's talking about, of course, is Mayor Thao. So your boss. And she went on to file a complaint, and you all have a very complicated relationship. To say the least. I'm sorry?
You're echoing.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So hold on a second. Thank you for the reminder. Let me, as I was saying, and she was talking about your boss, Sheng Thao, and you all have,
Farmer boss.
your former boss. I stand corrected, of course. So, ouch, that did hurt. But
No, I don't mean it that way. I mean, one thing about me, I'm a straight shooter. My father told me at 12 years old, don't be afraid of anyone. And I took that to heart. I respect people. I respect their positions. I respect the work they've done. But as far as me speaking my mind, I don't have a problem doing that. I like to say, not with you, but with some people, you know, people feel emboldened to speak nonsense. Why can't I speak the truth?
do you want to shed a light on your relationship with, you know, because you know,
Liana, 100%.
Yeah, thanks.
Liana, I brought her into our office. Liana worked with my daughter under Libby Schaff for many years. And so I knew Liana. I knew that over there in Libby Schaff's office and with that Oakland Promise, they were mistreating her. And so I was like, hey, I'm over here. Come work for me. Come work, you know, in our office. And she did, but kind of right away, it just kind of started going off kilter. And I didn't really understand what was going on. And this is the truth. The audio was just released from the FBI documents. I didn't know at the time, but Liana was being poisoned.
She said the same thing.
Oh, I know it 100% to be the fact, because she went to the ER 3 times in 1 month. She was telling me like she was having these heart problems. She was having these, you know, head problems. And at first I thought, okay, whatever, you know, you still got to do your job, you know, but I was having sympathy for her. I was doing her job, you know, and I'm like, I can't do your job and my job too, sweetie, but we're going to figure this out. And so then she started getting better. She started, you know, being on task again. But then again, same thing happened. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if it was personal or what was going on. I knew her and Sheng was having these issues, but I was very clear with Sheng. What I do for your campaign, I do on my time when I want to. My job is for this office. So I didn't go to the meetings at Julie's house that she talked about in your interview. I did not go to their meetings most of the time at Sheng's house. Anybody could tell you I was one of the only people in City Hall, not just in my office, in all the other council offices. Lauren's office did come to work, and Giles' office came sometimes, and Carol Fife's, one of her staff, came. Other than that, no, I would be in City Hall by myself a lot of times. And so, yeah, I just didn't know at the time. I thought maybe she just wasn't up to the job. And so I had to fire her. The night, and I'm just going to say it live on this thing, my son and I were poisoned by Andre. And I know it to be so because from October, when he first started making coffee at the house and at the office for us, I was like, Andre, you're making coffee? And he was like, oh yeah, I know you guys are working late, you know. From the end of October to election, I lost 15 pounds in 20 days. I thought I had cancer, quite honestly. I didn't tell this to my kids. I started making sure my insurance policy was correct. I started just lining up everything because I was having feeling like heart murmurs. One night I thought I was like going to have an aneurysm. Another night I felt like I was going to die. And I was like, I'm about to die at home by myself. Like, this is crazy. But I was like, I have some cancer. Like, I remember like literally went to the restroom and my urine was like reddish brown. And
Did
so
you call 911?
Listen, I'm going to tell you.
I'm sorry.
And so then my baby boy started getting sick. My Ocean at the time was 7 years old. He started getting really sick. And then I thought maybe because it was COVID, a lot of people were having COVID at the time. But the last time he got really sick, Andre begged for my son to come over. That weekend, Sheng went out of town. So that was December 9th. That Monday morning, my son went to school and was almost deathly sick. They couldn't find out what was wrong with him. No one knew. oh, he's fine, do this, do that. I'm like, something is wrong in my house then. So I start testing stuff in my house. It wasn't until December 24th, right before I made the police report with our former chief, I told him that they had been breaking into my house, that I was about 99% sure Andre had not only poisoned me, but my son. He was like, okay, I'm going to deal with this. The FBI met me and my son at the hospital at Kaiser. They drew our blood. I still don't to this day know what were we poisoned with. This is the truth. But while we were at the hospital, and then the one agent came, took our blood, another agent came. At this time, they were trying to act like they were just doctors. I knew the difference. Like I said, my father was military. I know what they look like. I know the tattoos they have on them. You know, I even asked the one guy, I was like, dude, you're special ops. Those tattoos you have? He was like, oh, no, those is because my dad. I was like, no, you don't get those tattoos because of your father. Those are earned tattoos, you know? And so when I was telling him what happened and the symptoms we were having, my son was like, yeah, mom, remember that time I was telling you my head was feeling like that too. And I remember I told him, lay your head on my lap. And then he was like, remember I was telling you about my heart? And that's when instantly Liana popped into my head. I was like, oh my God, this is what Liana was telling me. And the only person that was around Liana was Brandon Harami.
Mm.
And I reached out to Liana and I was like, Liana, I believe Brandon was poisoning you. And she was like, no, he was so nice. I said, yeah, but remember he was making you coffee? Remember he came in and was trying to be extra sweet to you? I said, but then you started feeling better. I said, and then when I was like, I'm going to keep you on, that's the last time you got even more sick. And I said, and he came into the office that day. So I went to Liana's house. I felt horrible. I met with her that Christmas Eve, talked with her, actually blessed her and her family with a little, gift. And then I apologized. I was just like, I'm so sorry. Like, I would have never done that. If I would have even had a clue of it, I would not. And yeah, me and her, we've kept in contact. I just reached out to her like 2 weeks ago just to check on her. You know, she's going through chemotherapy right now. But I really think it has something to do with whatever Brandon was poisoning her with, because his old colleague in San Francisco was having the same symptoms. And now she has some rare like blood disease, cancer.
Did you this is the same Brandon Harmony who was accused of making up to 29 different Twitter accounts and using them to harass people online while an employee of the city of Oakland, right?
Oh, sir. Yes, sir. Brandon Harami harasses people. His old colleague in San Francisco, he harassed her. And then when he found out she was in contact with Liana, they started harassing her again. This lady is literally like on her deathbed. They start calling her, robocalling her, telling her she was going to die, telling her, just sick stuff, only because she supported Liana and was like, oh, I know about those people. Be careful.
And someone tried to write a question. I'll just take that part of it. I deleted the account and the comment because it was offensive. But the question they asked was more of a clarification. Are you saying that, to use this person's vernacular, but I'm going to alter it, Andre's friends were the ones that were attacking and, vandalizing, doing the vandalizing?
100%. 100%. It had to be. Like, the way that they were telling me to shut up and be quiet, the way that Sheng was telling me, oh, Andre is going to be Andre, ignore it. And when I decided not to ignore it, that's when everything escalated. That's when, like I said, my house was broken into, my car was stolen. The last night, my son and I stayed in Alameda 5 nights. The last night, someone broke in my house and was in my house with me. And I'm going to tell you some more information that I haven't told anyone. And this is the truth. And I still have the toilet seat from it. Someone stood over my head and peed on me.
What?
Yes, sir. I have the toilet seat because the police, everybody that were coming out to my house was just that night. The police was like, oh, no one's in there. Go back in the house. I'm like, I could tell where somebody used a tool to prop open my attic to even get in there. Mind you, we had just been only in the house 4 nights. The house was fully newly painted. Everything in that house was new. I could see where they had used some tool to prop it open. The police came and was like, oh, no one's in there. I was like, did you check in the attic? Someone is in that house. Someone literally just peed on me, on my head. And they were like, oh, no, maybe you're just imagining this. So, yeah, me and my son left that night, stayed in the hotel, never went back to that house. My son and I had to literally live on the run for about 2 months. Yeah, it was just horrible. And I still have the toilet seat because I was like, whoever it was, I have their DNA. And so whenever I'm in a position to have someone test it, I'm going to know. But I know the FBI knows because after everything happened, they finally called me into their office after the last night in Alameda. I sent my son to go be with his dad. I went and stayed the night at one of my friend's house who lives up off Edwards. They tried to break into her house that night.
Oh my God.
Cut her alarm. I heard them come up her hill. And then the FBI sat in front of her house for the rest of the night. And that's when I was like, okay, so the FBI knows what's going on. They've been following me. And yeah, then 2 days later, they called me in and was like, come into their office. Yeah, I mean, a lot, like I said, I'm telling you stuff nobody even knows. No one. Like, my kids don't even know about me getting, urinated on. Yeah, that's me and my son. We had to go up to Napa. My family has been part owners of this place. It's called Our Ranch up in Napa. And after we stayed in Airbnbs for a couple of nights, or really a couple of weeks, we went up and stayed in Napa. That's me and my baby. And can I tell you something? The reason I have on glasses right in that picture, because whoever was breaking into my house, one time they put something in my contact solution. At first I thought, well, maybe my contact solution was messed up. So I end up buying some more I bought some more contact solution, opened up new contacts. One morning, taking my son to school, I almost crashed.
What?
Because they put something in my contact solution. Literally, the light hit my eyes. I almost crashed. I had to pull over on the side of the road, snatch my contacts out. And so that's why in that picture I have glasses on. For a couple of months, I wouldn't even wear contacts. I just wore my glasses.
You've been through horror.
I have.
And
I really have. I mean, that's why
you've also sent this, by the way.
Oh, that's my Lola. That's
Your car.
That's what they did to my 66 Dart. My car had, like I said, 65,000 miles on it. Mint condition. I just had won an award at the car show. They cut out my ignition. They set it on fire. They, like I said, took a hammer or something to my dashboard. It took me a year to get all the parts back from my car.
Wow.
Yeah. And if they would have been able to, they couldn't figure out how to get under my hood. I felt like they had a screwdriver or something trying to pop my hood, but they didn't realize you have to it's a special latch, then a hook. Otherwise, they would have destroyed my engine, but they couldn't get under there. Yeah, if you have put up the picture of what my car looked like it was beautiful.
That's, yep. It was, folks. It's
well, and it got back to be beautiful. Like I said, my mechanic took over a year to find all the parts. Like, my steering wheel came from Argentina. Like, my dashboard came from somewhere else. Like, my other part came from, I think, somewhere back east. Like, it took over a year to get my parts back. It just got finished getting built this year, and I sold it. I sold it to a young brother, and I was just like, he was like, why are you selling it? I was like, I don't want to drive it anymore. Not to mention, technically, I couldn't even afford to pay for the repairs because, like I said, I had to exhaust my savings to pay for us to go stay in Airbnbs, pay for us to be on the run, and then pay for my daughter's last year of college. I literally have $0 in my savings account right now because of that.
Oh, my goodness.
It's the
This
truth.
is the car right here. There's the dart.
Yeah, that was two and a half.
Beautiful car, by the way.
Thank you. It was. I love old schools. I've had Mustangs, Mavericks, Cutlass. I love old schools, but that was just in October, 2.5 months before they stole my car. That's what my car was looking like. Nothing in my car was not original. Even the radio. People were like, "Oh, get a new radio." I was like, "Nope, I want my car original." Even the hubcaps, everything in that car. And they knew I loved that car, and that's why they did what they did to it. Again, to threaten me and to send me a message to shut up and go along with their crooked behavior.
Did anybody explicitly leave a note to that effect saying, "Hey, look, blank, blank, blank"?
No, but like I said, they sent message via my kid's auntie to be quiet and go check myself into the hospital. And so they didn't leave me a note, but they sent messages via other people. And yeah, that's why I resigned that New Year's Eve, because they stole my car on the 30th, called my kids and had them all crying and distraught and thinking that maybe I was making this stuff up. And that's what hurt me, because I'm like, my family matters to me more than anything. My motto is family first before anything. And so that's why I've always taken the positions I've taken to be able to still be a present mother. I just finished coaching my son's soccer team. I volunteered in their school. I one time calculated I've volunteered over 10,000 hours to OUSD.
Oh my God.
Literally just volunteering their classes, being the head of this, helping with the auction. Each one of my kids, I at least have worked an hour in their class per week, on top of being their room parent, on top of being their art instructor, on top of I was the physical activity person for my son, my older son's first grade and in kindergarten. Then I was the art, assistant. So yeah, I've made sure I've had jobs that I could have the flexibility. And that's what I told my kids that day when they were crying. I was like, do you realize I've turned down companies or positions at Fortune 500, companies or whatever? I was like, I've turned down very lucrative jobs that would have taken me away from you guys. Like, I do the jobs I do, maybe not making as much money, but it allows me to be present for my family. And so for them to really threaten my family and try to cause division between my family, I was like, I'm out of here. And that was before I even found out really what they were up to. That was just barely digging into the surface. But what I saw was more than enough for me to go.
Now we have now an 8-foot view. Let's take a 30,000-foot view. All this is going on while you're in the employ of the city.
Yes, sir.
And so it begs the question, ma'am, how is work getting done? And to what extent do we have people working in the city who really are there for the city as opposed to themselves?
Well, it was interesting. Some of the subpoena documents that were released was a text message between Brandon Harami and myself. And that's, again, when I was, running transition, planning her public facing inauguration in January 9th. And in one of those text messages, I told Brandon, I was like, dude, all these department heads are hitting me up for meetings. I told them to hold off. And I was like, I just looked up what all of them make. And I was like, most of them make 250 and up. And then I text WTF. And most of them don't work. So yeah, we have a whole lot of city employees making $200,000 and up of our taxpayers' dollars that are not working. They haven't been working for a long time, really since COVID. I mean, obviously a lot of stuff got shut down, but that just gave them more of an excuse. But they were already really not kind of serving us properly in the way that we're paying them, in the way that their job tells them to do so. And I'll tell you another example. A friend of mine who was working in one of our city departments, finished graduate school at Cal Berkeley, he ended up quitting because he was like, Renea, they don't even care. They literally just shuffle papers around from one desk to another because they said that if they do the work, their department is not going to get the money it needs to continue it. So they don't do the work. This was professional. Like I said, just finished graduate school. He's served on different boards and commissions. He's worked in other stuff. But yeah, at this point, he was in one of our major departments. And yeah, he quit like 2-3 months later. He was like, they literally just put stacks of paper from one desk to the other, don't do work, but they don't do it purposely because they feel like if they do their job, then their department isn't going to get the finances that it needs.
My gosh.
And like I said, I went to the city hall last Friday and a security guard almost was in tears. For one, complaining about our city and that illegal ABC deal that they keep pushing that was lobbied by Mario Juarez crooked self. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that he's going to quit that company because he didn't realize that they've been robbing our city. He's a Latino man and he was in tears. He was just like, this is ridiculous. And he told me, yeah, our planning department is only open 2 days a week and it used to only be open 1 day a week. Yeah. And he was like, and I'll say her name because I love her, Miss Sandra Smith. He was like, she's one of the only ones that work. She comes in here every day and does her job. She's an elder lady from Oakland, though, born and raised in Oakland. And he was like, yeah, Sandra, she does her job. She comes in here every day. Early morning, leaving out of here late. He's like, everybody else? Yeah, right.
You're right. Wow.
Yeah. And so, yeah, there's a lot of people started resigning, like in our finance department and our revenue department, because they know now all their little crooked ways are being exposed, especially with this FBI investigation. But our city administrator, he needs to resign today. That Larry Gallegos guy, you need to resign today. Every one of you guys that were giving a blueprint on these people on how to steal our dollars, but then yesterday wanted to host a special PEC committee meeting to ask for more money and more parcel tax so you could continue robbing the people of Oakland, resign. And if you don't resign, I'm going to fire you and I'm going to be happy to fire you. And that's the truth.
So we're talking about that as mayor.
Yes, sir.
Since we're talking about city operations, city management, and we're creeping in the city budget, I have to ask you, because you're at the front lines, how, from your perspective, did AASCG come to be?
I love AASCG. And
Ray Bobbitt's a fan, yeah.
Oh, I don't love Ray Bobbitt. Ray Bobbitt has sold out the people that really care about our people.
Okay.
Right now, AASCG, there's some members that are suing the other members because Ray Bobbitt was involved in, again, some illegal crooked deals that he basically has sold out his own people that he came to the table with. And I told them a long time ago, 2 years ago, and one of the guys we were talking today, and he was like, man, Renea, you were right. I was like, dude, the way that it's even written up, even if you guys were able to come up with $250 million, you guys will be no more than glorified landlords. I said, they're not trying to give that deal to you. They were just putting that as the front of, oh, here, let's help the Black people, when really it's to steal from them, to say, oh, well, we wanted the Black group to get it, but they couldn't figure it out. So now we have to help these other people get it. That's the game.
In other words, they were setting them up to fail.
100%. And even if, like I said, by chance they would have gotten the money, the way it's written up in the contract is that if this other company is able to establish tenancy and that they're able to establish that they could generate revenue, then they could control the development of the property.
Now, when you say other company, do you mean the other company that Ray set up, or you mean Loop Capital, or both?
Nothing to do with Ray. The people that are now going to be utilizing the Coliseum starting January 2025. hosting their games there instead of building the modular office that
You're
they were
talking
going
about
to
the
do.
Oakland. Okay.
The Oakland Roots. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Right.
The way it is really written up in the contract is that, and I read the whole contract.
Yeah.
Is that if the Roots can establish tenancy and establish that they could produce financially lucrative, whatever, then they could actually have first rights to develop the property. When I read that, I was like, okay, so even if Ray and them come up with $250 million, they could stall them out in the planning department, or they'll stall them out in these departments to ensure that they don't get the backing and the things that they need to develop the property. Meanwhile, they're out there helping the Roots get training facilities. Now they're talking about, oh, we could help the Roots at the county level leverage these federal dollars and all these other dollars, again, to ensure that they are set up to be successful. No, Ray Bobbitt is a sellout to his people, is a sellout to that AASEG and the people that really wanted to do the work.
But how did, if I may though,
yeah,
since the Roots don't have control, or they're not negotiating for control of title, so that really can't be the case. The only situation, if I may, the only situation would be that you have a contract that's messed up in writing.
Exactly. And
okay.
so then
it has to be rewritten.
Exactly. Their contract is going to get tossed out. That's why AASEG only came up with what, $10 million that's in an escrow account that never even reached our pockets in Oakland.
Well, yeah, they claim otherwise, but that's beside the point.
That's claim what you want. Where's even
right.
$50 million?
Right.
Whereas you guys were supposed to have money by November, whatever, the first 50 million, and then Sheng and them talking about, oh, well, we renegotiated for 25 million more. I'm like, it doesn't matter if you renegotiated for 300 million more. If you don't got a dollar, what does it matter to have?
But even then, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was talking to Mark Davis about that, the NFL owners meeting, and he was under the impression it was, as an observer, because he has not directly involved in it at all, that it said November, right, or September. But then I pointed out, well, if you actually read it as an if then else statement, like a good lawyer should, it points it to January. And he goes, yeah. And I say, Mark, that's the problem. You can read it both ways. Yeah. We started laughing.
Yeah. And then it said January, then it said May. It went from November to January to May. And then I saw the clause that, well, if something, they could even bail out of it at the day of the election or the day after. So November 6th was what they put into that information. So no, they didn't even feel like they could get the money to begin with. So that was a setup. Ray talks a good game, but he has no development experience. He has no experience going to get that type of money. It just is the case. And so
but Loop Capital does.
Loop Capital does. Right. But that's but where are they at right now? Where's the rest
right. They're at as I understand it, they're in a position where they don't feel like they have to divulge
exactly
details.
And they don't feel like they could get it done because now they're saying that Ray and them didn't come to the table with what they promised them. Everybody's coming to the table with empty hands with all these grandiose ideas. But Loop is about their business. And so when you're about business and you've been developing properties and projects across the nation, they know 1, 2, 3 has to be met.
Right.
Before they're even going to go to 4, 5, 6, and 7. They already have seen that, no, Ray and them was just talking out the side of their neck. And yeah, that's why they're not to the table with it.
So how would you solve the problem?
Honestly, I told some of the other guys that are now suing Ray and them for their practices to, if y'all want this, go get it. You guys have to create your own. You guys have to tell what's really been going on and then create something and try to figure it out. Otherwise, they're going to try to steal this deal from you guys. And then they're going to make it so that the Roots could have that property, that the Roots are going to work in partnership with our county and whomever else and then they're going to go help them get that money. That's the game of it.
So you're basically saying that they're building Roots up to be the real developer.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's why and I'm glad that one backer backed out of that speaking of the Raiders, of that Raiders property. That was supposed to be their new home.
Right.
But then the investor guy backed out. Yeah, everybody's backing out because now they're seeing the writing is on the wall. They don't want no mess to be associated with them.
So are you calling the Roots crooks as well?
Well, I would say I do appreciate some of those people over there, but they've gotten in partnership with people like Rebecca Kaplan, who has helped push this really far. And so I don't even know if the Roots are aware. I don't know. So I can't say that about them. I've met some of their employees. I know them. They seem like they're above board. I've gone to their games. My son plays soccer. We just were a part of their event. So I wouldn't say that. I would say that they're just trying to get their foot in the door and get their stuff going.
But you're running for mayor. Let's say you win. So this is in your lap. How are you gonna do with it? You can't just say, I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm going to say kick that, like I told this young man today. No, we're going to kick that mess out and we're going to start from the beginning. And no, Roots can't just come in and steal a deal. That's not happening. Okay. That's not happening. And you guys are going to honor what you said, that you guys wanted to help, bring a Black group onto the threshold, like everybody was like, oh, this is, Black community. This is in District 6 and 7. We got to help the Black people. This is their property. They've been red line, all the tag words, all the clickbait was out there. But no, in their heart of hearts, that was never their intention. And so, yeah, I'm going to make people honor what they said that they were going to do. Like I said, I told the young brothers, hey, if that's what you guys want to do, go put your group together. Be ready to present to council. Be ready. Have your ducks in a line. So when we get to that point, come to the table. But no, we're not going to, as a city, push for another group to get it that I know was really trying to backdoor these other people.
Now, the guys you're talking about, or guys and gals you're talking about, this people who originally were partnered with Ray, but then sued him?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's public record. They've already been to court a couple of times.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, so what if Ray produces, again, this video showing that those same people signed a document acknowledging Ray's role over the project over them?
They put Ray as the spokesperson. They put Ray as the kind of leading force in it. What they did not give Ray authority to do is sell part of their shares to Rebecca Kaplan and to some of the people of Roots. They had no idea of that. And
but
so
Ray claims he has a video that says that they signed a document seceding authority to him.
Again, they did not realize that they were giving him authority to go sell them out.
Right, but they did sign it.
They thought that they were giving him authority to act in their best interest.
Right, but they did sign the document.
Yes, they did. And that's why they're now suing because, like I said, what was presented to them as opposed to what he took that to mean. No, they thought that, yeah, you're going to be acting in the best interest of our group. This is what we came together as a group to form.
But as I understand it, because I have the documents from the court case and the recent findings,
yes,
that they're in stasis. There is nothing, because of that, there's nothing they can really do.
And that's why I told them today. We were in contact today. I was like, sweetie, all you could do is maybe sue Ray. Ray don't got nothing to give to you. So I guess you could maybe try to put a lien against future projects or something like that.
But right. And because of the documents they signed, all of those attempts at lawsuits will be thrown out on a summary judgment basis.
Exactly. And that's why I told them.
Motion to dismiss, gone.
Yeah. And that's why I told them, don't waste your energy there. Go ahead and form your group. If this is what you want and this is what you guys want to do, then go ahead and come up with it. But trying to fight a losing battle that Ray don't got no money. You guys don't have the backing that, you guys thought you had. So you guys are all fighting against something that right at this point doesn't matter. It's a losing battle.
Let me ask you, instead of doing it that way, why not formalize the document so that AESEG is landlord? One of the developers is Oakland Roots with some tests that they have to meet, some hurdles. But the idea is to have an overall plan. You get different developers to work with the master developer, as is commonly done around the United States. And that way you don't get into
Well,
this.
like I said, AESCG is no longer. So I wouldn't want to renegotiate a contract with them, especially like you're saying, like we said, even though it doesn't hold up in court, Ray lied to his original partners. Ray cheated his original
But you're
partner.
saying AACG is no longer. It actually does exist, but it's a holding company for a new one. So it's
exactly.
not.
It's in existence, but
Right.
who are they? What are they doing? So no, I would.
That's a different. My point is, my friend, saying who are they and what they're doing when they're established and they're negotiating with the city as we speak and working with them. All right, they have a function, and so as mayor of Oakland, that's something you either have to deal with, or even if you don't know the answer to it, you say, you know what, I'll get someone to handle it. I'll form a new group or working group.
I just said that, Zinni. I just said I
okay.
advise the other groups to form their own groups. So
well, no. When I said another group, what I meant was a task force. A task force, to fix the problem. We used to do task forces before the internet,
exactly.
Right?
Well, we can't. I believe this. When something is built on the foundation of trust and honesty, then you're going to be able to grow from that. When a foundation is built on lies and deceit and stealing, there's nothing to grow from that. And so I'll leave it there.
So,
and yes, they are in negotiations with our city, but they haven't come up to the table with anything that they've promised along the way, even based off of what you've said, what I know. It was one thing, then it turned into another thing. And then it was like, oh, well, we don't have the money. We'll get it at this date. Then it's like, oh, we'll get it in January.
Well, let's clarify for the audience. When you say one thing, you're talking about the purchase specifically of the land, right?
Yes. Well, just even the money that they were supposed to be giving and guaranteeing our city.
Right. Okay. That's what I'm saying. The only reason and let me explain why I'm saying that as a differentiation, because, and I'm not saying something to you I haven't said to Ray Bobbitt or made videos about. I said that the way this is normally done is you come up with a total plan for the area, the uses. You have developer partners. You're not Lone Rangering it, right?
Exactly.
And everyone knows what their role is. You can say, hey, Majestic's supposed to put in this. Maybe Majestic kicks off whatever, you can replace that component, right? Or maybe the other partner is an anchor tenant, which is a real sports organization with some money. Or maybe it's the NFL. Maybe we should have given the NFL.
And Zinni, can I tell you, a lot of people don't know this. I worked for the East Bay Asian Local Development Corporation for 3.5 years. So I'm very versed on development. Right. I'm very versed on the financial aspects of it. Right. I got trained by NeighborWorks across the nation. So I'm very familiar with
I'm not saying you
draw these things. Well, I'm just saying
I'm not saying this is not about you. What I'm getting at, I'm setting up a straw person example of how things are supposed to work. And all I'm saying is that it sounds like we're far afield from that, from what you're saying, obviously, right? And the question is, okay, how do we get back there? And that's your job as mayor.
How do we get back there? I already said, we start from level one. Okay. We start with the foundation of people that are doing this in earnest and honesty, and bring partners to the table that will develop that property. Right now, AESCG has shown that they're not that partner.
Now, this is a great place to start with the other question. How did we get to the position we're in as a city? Everyone asks that question. We go all the way back 13 years to interviews I've done with my buddy John Russo when he said that Oakland was morally bankrupt. In our interview, in 2000.
It's been that way a long time.
13. Okay, 2013 is when John said it.
It has been. we've had administration after administration, I would say probably going about 3-4 mayors that have stolen from us, that has used their power to make their friends very rich. Very rich. I know some of them personally because just the circles that I've ran in, I know them personally. I know the business that one of them sold part of his business, $50 million. He got so much free property, so much free everything, got planning expedited for him, got this, even though he had to pay fines for doing illegal stuff for one of our old mayors. This is the kind of administrations way before Sheng, before even Libby.
So you're talking about Jerry Brown, Ron Dellums, Gene Kwan.
I won't say Dellums, but definitely a lot of these people came from out of working for Jerry Brown. So
now you're talking about Libby.
Exactly. Okay. Libby, Ignacio. You know, I thought about that the other day. I was like, God.
Ignacio wasn't mayor, though. You said mayors, though.
No, but he came from under him. And we all know that he went off and was being a crook in his district, District 5. So yes, these people have been doing this game book, rule book, whatever you want to call it, for a long time. Using our tax dollars, shuffling them around, using federal dollars, using county dollars, shuffling them around, playing around like we don't have nothing. So then they help their friends start up these businesses, help them expedite everything that they need to do. I know for particular, this one couple, they got like 6 businesses up and going in downtown Oakland in a matter of nothing. I was like, wow. Meanwhile, Joe Blow down the way can't even get his permitting put through, can't even have his whatever, his meetings taken care of. But these people then sprung up with 6 different businesses throughout Oakland.
Now, this person puts up and writes, ready for the world. Renea refuses to produce any evidence to the ethics committee, media, or city council. Actually, I think you're presenting something now, but what gives? She does seem to be unstable and sort of attention addiction. Now, here's the thing.
Well, can
I
hear?
No, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me take this one part of it, okay? Ready for the world. First of all, when you use that term, I know precisely who you are. Ray, not Bobbitt. She is not doing that. But my point is that these are problems that need to be brought out and sorted out. Okay.
Can I say something? That was the same thing. 2 years ago, I brought up all these concerns to our city council, public ethics, and was told the same thing. Oh, where's the evidence? That's their job to go get evidence. Thankfully, our FBI has now released evidence and documentation backing up everything I said 2 years ago, everything that I'm saying today. And if I wanted attention, I would have kept a job making $200,000 being the chief of staff in our mayor's office. I could care less about attention. I've built up so much stuff around Oakland. You guys have not even a clue. I bought in so much money at the state level, at the federal level. I haven't been like, oh, hi, I'm doing this. I could care less about attention. If I wanted attention, like I said, I would have stayed in that job, working for a crook, making close to $200,000 and had a foo-foo great job being in the mayor's office. I could care less about attention. Like I said, if the Public Ethics Commission would have been doing their job and not feeling like they're getting threatened by our administration to even be functioning, then maybe they would have dug a little deeper. But instead, they didn't. Instead, they spread lies around the city about me. But now the FBI documents are coming out, verifying everything I said, vindicating what I've been saying the last 2 years. So you could miss me about the seeking attention. That's somebody that either doesn't want to know the truth or wants to keep covering up for crooks.
Yeah, I think posting that comment was a bad move. And I started to I thought, you know what?
No, please.
I need to put that out there.
That's how we address.
I know who did it. So I thought.
Oh, I could imagine too, but that's how we address the naysayers.
Yeah, but it also
either speak the truth or take the time to learn the truth, or you just want to be a follower and you want to continue in the mess. That's just how it is.
Renia, why can't we just fix things as a group of people who love Oakland and say, you know what? Let's just get it all together because our city has crumbled. Why
Oh,
can't
well,
we
and that's what I'm going to do. That's why, again, my kickoff is just a representation of who I am, how I serve, who stepped up to the table, and who's supporting me. It's about bringing Oakland together, every nationality, from the hills to the flatlands. And I've lived in the hills and the flatlands. Someone asked me the other day, oh, where have you lived in Oakland? I was like, well, let's see. I was brought home to the 20s. People don't know that's used to be called the Murder Dubs. Then I used to live in the 80s, which people nicknamed the Shady 80s. I live on Seminary right now. But my father had a business. We lived in the Oakland Hills. My father's business was by the lake. I've lived in all parts of the lake. I mean, all parts of Oakland. I've served all parts of Oakland. And so when I'm in office, just like I was trying to do for the previous administration, the people that are going to be these department heads are going to be the people that do the work, that have been doing the work, that has shown their self to serve the people and not their self. That's our job. Serving the people. We're hired to serve and protect the people, to make sure that their tax dollars work for them. And so I'm going to bring to the table people that want to do the right job, to do the right thing, to serve in earnest. I mean, you guys are making more than enough money that you guys could live comfortably. Meanwhile, most of our citizens can't barely pay for food, can't pay their electricity bill, can't even take care of their families, working 2 and 3 jobs, are living in trash, living with cars getting stolen. We had the highest percentage of cars being stolen in this city because people in place and power are not doing their jobs. They're getting cushy jobs, saying that they don't want to come to work. But meanwhile, I see them on Facebook out of the country in high expensive handbags and pushing Lexuses and this and that and all these high-end cars, but don't come to work but 1 and 2 days a week. And we wonder why, as Oaklanders and as the constituents, why these things aren't getting taken care of. So no, I love Oakland. I'm going to bring everyone to the table that actually really wants to do the work. And just in 18 months, I'm going to show the city and the people of Oakland, hey, if for the last even 10 years, we had someone in office that would really want to do their job in the way they're supposed to, we wouldn't be dealing with this.
I got an email today. Cuts to cops will make Oakland unsafe for residents.
That's a
businesses.
joke. That's
Okay.
a joke. But then they just didn't remember. We just got measure ballot in, which was, like I said to someone else, they're fear-mongering you guys. I told all my family, do not vote for that. That is another just notch on the belt of the crooks that want to put it back to general fund to steal it. That's what they do. We have more than enough money, like as they always say on the other end, oh, our cops and our police take up most of our budget. Okay, so then why are you now saying that, oh, we're going to have cuts to the police, and then you go get another ballot measure that just passed, but you guys are still saying, oh, we need to make cuts to the police. It can't be both, but that's the game, to fearmong people, to act like we don't have enough, even though we have more than enough. No, I'm going to put more boots on the ground. So then our police aren't exhausted. They're not working all this overtime. They have families. They have a life. They deserve to be with their families. They deserve to just breathe. And instead, a lot of them are working double, triple overtime. That's not good for them. That's not good for us as a city to have people exhausted that way. So I've already reached out to our current chief. I've reached out to our Police Officers Association, and I told them I have family members that are officers. My uncle was one of the first Black police captains in Oakland.
Yeah.
I love police. I honor them because they do sacrifice a lot. Honestly, like in every situation, we have those that are the bad apples. But Oakland has a beautiful rank and file. I know a lot of them personally. They give up a lot to serve us. So no, we're not cutting anything to the police. We're going to support them. We're going to make sure we have more academies. And then we're going to go find the money, like they find money for everything else, to hire more police officers so we as citizens can feel safe.
And I got this from the Oakland report. Oakland, this is Tim Gardner, who writes, Oakland City employees count shows a dramatic shift in service priorities over 5 years. I'm just getting your response to this. Public safety staff declined by 206 employees, and other departments added 336 employees. Police are slated to bear the majority of forthcoming cuts. That's what he's saying.
It's a joke. Again, like I said, that's the fear mongering. That's
the only thing that when I read this at first, my thought goes back to something Libby told me, I believe it was in 2016, and it was that it had to do with a number of temporary positions we had established, and an ungodly sum. Like we were working for Kelly with Kelly Services. In the past we never did that, right? Because we needed specialists. But
exactly.
Now, and I don't think that's factored in here. So I think I'm not putting you down. Okay, that's not my.
And again, the thing is, we have more than enough money. We don't fill even most of the positions in our department heads already. Again, that's the game. They say, oh, we need X amount of people in our Joe Blow department.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go hire the people in that department, but they've already earmarked that money for that department. Then they're going to tax us more money on that department. But then none of the services get provided. They don't hire the people. So then all that good of our money goes to general fund. Again, our previous administrators slush fund. And then they go tell their friends, oh, go make up a business. Like during COVID, I can't even tell you how many hundreds of millions of dollars went through our city hall unaccounted for. I know some of the people that started fake businesses to get some of that access to that money.
Now, the other question I have,
and I don't mean to cut you off, but we have like 2-3 minutes, then I gotta go.
Okay, because Howard Terminal, and I specifically want to know from you what happened. I'm less interested in the John Fisher. Well, I am. I'm interested in hearing it from your position.
Well, no, and I don't want to go back into that deal. No, because we keep going back, and that's a deal right now that is not even on the table. And so I can't speak to what happened or what didn't happen with that situation. I just know that we need to keep our port up and running. We need to build more development. We need more homes, affordable and market rate. We do need to provide jobs. We just got a slew of money from the federal government to help with greening our port. Great. Let's use some of that money to green the port, to bring more jobs into the port, to build some things around that area that, again, could bring more revenue to our office.
What, if I may, the only reason I bring that up is because SB 293 Skinner is still on the books. The Port of Oakland has said it wants to develop Howard Terminal, and yet it's going to go back to do the same thing we've done all many years, is rather than the city be a developer and then find a developer to partner with, which means we in-house staff some of it, right? They want to go up, have the developer say, hey, what should we build here, as opposed to the city saying, we need a convention center. Right. Like, for example, the Harold Washington Library Complex in Chicago. Chicago determined it needed that library complex to provide a center for all of its libraries, around the region, right? So it had a developer competition. It had the models, and it selected the architect, which happened to be Thomas Beebe. I favored, frankly, Helmut Jahn, but that's beside the point. My point is, it was design build. The city of Chicago said, we're going to put $140 million in the subsidy. Here's our project. Partner with us. Competition.
Exactly.
How come we don't do that? I tried to do that way back when I worked for Elihu.
Because
Elihu said, no, bad thing. You see them getting that?
Oh, 100%. And that's what I was saying, brought up the fact that I've been trained by NeighborWorks, which is from our government at the higher level. Mm-hmm. That's what they're doing in Detroit. That's how they rebuilt up Detroit. That's what they did in Seattle. That's what they did in Brooklyn. They, like you said, the city is in partnership. The city is a developer. The city is the one putting these things to the
Right.
fire. And
We're
then
not leaving it to we're not leaving it to politics.
Exactly. We're just doing the
I'm
job that we're supposed to do.
Right.
And so other cities do it. Oakland has not, because again, they're worried about their own selves, their own interests, not the interests of the people. It's just very apparent. When you do the work for the people, like I just brought up those 3 areas, Brooklyn was just as bad as Oakland. Brooklyn is beautiful now. They have so much development. My daughter was at college out there, so I saw from what it went to what it is now. Same thing as Detroit. Detroit had some real ghost town neighborhoods, communities. They start working within their self, using their own resources. The neighborhoods over there are flourishing. Their downtown area is just like amazing. Same thing happened in Seattle at Pike's Place. That place was almost underground. The city and everybody came together to work on it. It's called economic revitalization. You know, like you're saying, get these acre tenants, get these things, leverage these dollars. And then, yeah, you can rebuild. You can build these projects. And the city is at the helm of it, not all these outside developers and all these international developers and all those things. No, we're not going to play that anymore.
You took a courageous stand, and I want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
And I'm honored you brought it here. There's part of me wants to cry. But
Well, and I want to say this in closing. I never brought up any of this stuff because, like I told somebody was like, oh, you want to play the victim? I was like, I've never played the victim. I play victorious. I know who I am. I know where my heart is. And so I didn't have to come out there and telling all my business to the world. You know, I know the truth always stands. The lies will get exposed. The truth, standing on something, even like I said, I put my career in jeopardy. I walked away from it, a job that I loved, a job that was serving a city that raised me. I walked away from that, left, still was about my business, doing good work in the state and the federal level with groups. And then, like I said, working at an elementary school. I was still giving back to my city. And so, no, I didn't even think about running for this position. People asked me to because of my heart, because of my commitment, because of my integrity, because I put myself and my family at risk by walking away. Our lives are at risk. And someone asked me just today, aren't you scared? I was like, no. I was like, I've been through the lion's den and I came out. I've been sharpened by the sword, so I'm all right. But what I will never do is sell out Oakland. What I will never do is corrupt my seed and curse my seed. And I'm just tired of Oakland being used and abused. And I'm going to show Oakland, when you have a leader that puts serving the people, and I keep saying this, but that's our job. Our job is to serve the people. That puts you in office, that pays your salaries. And instead, we've had people that get good salaries and want to keep stealing, and then allow other people to come in and steal. Like they say, there's no honor among thieves.
Tell them your website for your mayoral campaign, please.
Webbforoakland.com. It's WEBB for Oakland.com. All of our social media platforms, same thing. Our Facebook, our TikTok, our Instagram, all that stuff, Webbforoakland.com. Yeah, and just get ready. I'm going to be your next mayor. I love you all. I'm more than qualified. If you take a check and look at my bio, I've served on a bunch of boards. I was the co-chair of the Community Policing Advisory Board. Like I said, I walked away from the Measure HH when I realized that Libby was taking the money and using it not for its intended purposes. That's the type of person I am. I've left other cushy jobs when I realized, oh, great, you're putting all this out there like you care about the community, but really you care about yourself. I don't have a problem doing that. And I want you guys to hold me accountable. Honestly, and this is the truth, I've been looking into this, changing back our city ordinance. Right now, the mayors have been having too much power. That's why Sheng was able to fire our chief.
Yep.
That's why she's able to hire crooked city administrators.
100%.
And
100%.
so I really want to change our city ordinance back to it's a more mayor slash council strong. You know, we both have the same insight. And so, yeah, because right now, the way it is, that's why we've been living the way we've been doing.
And
And
Beeman does bring up, he says, development of the big stuff is great, but what about the small business people?
And somebody asked me that. First of all, when I was with eBallsy, I ran their entrepreneur program. So I'm very big on small business. My father was a small business owner. His first small business was over across the street from Fruitvale BART Station. And then his business moved to First Avenue and East 14th. It used to be right in front of the Caspers. Everybody, I'm sure, has driven by it. It's the little curvy building right there on the corner. Used to be across the street from Hank and Frank. So I have a very big heart for small business owners. I was a small business owner, my consulting company. I had to shut it down because I kept getting basically robbed by people that I was helping. And so, yeah, but I love small business. There's a lot of support we could give to small business. I'm all for it. And that's why I said, no, I want to help all of our business. We definitely have to attract big business, but it's our mom and pop businesses that built up this city. It's our mom and pop that even ushered people of color into this city. And I don't mean just Black
Pastor
people.
Fabian Ronenson.
Sorry, I had to kill that one.
Yeah.
But that's a good point to, hey, folks, Renea, you don't have to do a thing. I'll close this out. Thank you for coming back, and don't make this the last time, please.
Thank you. I did not expect us to go this long. I'm glad we did. Like I said, I would
But
appreciate
it's the beauty
you.
of the format, right? It's not like 2 or 3, minutes. Mainstream. Yeah, this is the
we
whole
had a lot to
enchilada.
talk about. But yeah, I would love if you would, chop it up a little bit and
Sure.
get some of, like, especially, just what we were talking about, our city administrator and those guys. People need to know what they've been doing. And
Yes,
this
ma'am.
man is still sitting in our office, even though he's a part of an FBI investigation. And
Yes,
just as far as yesterday, tried to hold another meeting. Basically, I feel like in threat to our PEC, saying that they needed to host this meeting to get this parcel tax. Otherwise, they're going to get dissolved and can't do their business. Like, that's the kind of bullying and tactics and fear-mongering that has come from our heads, including.
Now, are you suggesting that since the mayor is on her way out, he's doing this on his own? He's being the de facto mayor?
Well, yes and no. I think that's why he ended up canceling the meeting yesterday, because he got a lot of flack and he knew I was actually going to show up at that meeting. I know people think they're slick. They were calling me and feeding him information. I actually filed a fraud alert on him with our city auditor. I sure did last Monday.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I don't care. I mean, these people, they're bold enough to steal and bold enough to use our city resources and their emails and get directive and give directive to people to steal from us and then have the nerve to act like they're caring about our people. Nah, we're done with that.
So again, folks, we're prooakland.com. And folks, hey, stick around. So look forward to your comments and everything else. This has been a 2-hour interview. Epic. Thank you very much.
2 hours that was supposed to be 30 minutes. I appreciate you, Zenny. And
Thank
this
you.
is in all honesty. Zenny and I had a conversation this weekend. We had some disagreements a couple of years ago because he didn't know the full story of what was going on. And so we had a little falling out, but I'm the type of person, for one, I admit when I'm wrong, and I'm never have a problem with mending those relationships when I feel like the person on the other end is coming at it from a place of sincerity and love.
Thank you.
I don't
love you very much.
Thank
you. I really appreciate who you are as a person. So
thank you. And that's just who I am. And that's who I'm going to be as Oakland's next mayor. I'm excited. People keep saying, why do you want this job? And I was like, because someone needs to finally take care of Oakland. I want to do that. I want to take care of our people. It's not for anything. Honestly, my ex-guy wanted me to resign and he's a millionaire. He wanted to take care of me. I don't do this for money. Literally. I do this because of the love that I have for my brothers and sisters. And when I say my brothers and sisters, that's Asian, Mexican, Chinese, you know, just everything. My Yemeni brothers, you know, my Cambodian sister I was talking to earlier today, my Filipino family, you know, all of those. When I say my brothers and sisters, we all are brothers and sisters.
And
I
speaking
mean,
of family, I got to go and have dinner with my mom. It's like,
and send my love to your mother.
I will.
I just enjoyed hearing her voice earlier today. And
oh,
so,
my mom is my heart. That's why I'm here. And
family,
every day that she's with me is a better day. So
definitely. You have a blessed one. Thank you so much, Mr.
yeah.
Zany.
No, like I said, you have to push a button. I got this. Folks, that ends the stream. Thank you so much.